Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are, whenever you are. Welcome to a new DC live stream. I'm your host, Matthew Batiri, here with my co-host, the lovely Wasim Debussy. How are you, my friend?
I'm outstanding. How are you, Manny? How's your week been?
Mate, it's been good. Especially the last 24 hours. We've seen a nice little pump with Bitcoin. So we did speak about that on the live stream on Monday. So if you are not catching all of our streams, feel free to jump into our channel here at Decrypting Crypto every day, Monday to Sunday. We've got a new video being released, and Mondays we're talking about Bitcoin technical analysis. Where's the price going to go, up or down? Wednesday we've got some altcoin analysis. And of course, we've got our DC live streams Tuesday, Friday, and Money and Mindset with Wasim on Thursdays. So make sure you are subscribing, turning on all notifications, and liking each video because that helps, obviously, the channel. Alrighty. So, mate, how was your week? Tell me, what have you been up to?
Mate, it's been a big week. We've got a lot of opportunities that we're working on. We're following up a lot of new projects. I actually just got off the phone with a very, very exciting project that's being launched here in Australia. Actually, it's going to be launched Queensland, Australia, and South Australia, where regardless of whether you have regardless of whether you have solar panels or not, you can actually take advantage of solar energy through your bills, and then use crypto to pay for your bill and reduce your electricity bill. So it's a very, very exciting project. Some people I met over in the crypto convention. So yeah, mate, this space just continues to move forward regardless of what the rest of the financial markets are doing. And
I was going to say, I hope you didn't ruin any adoption highlights by letting us know the news that you just shared with us.
No. This is not part of the adoption highlight, mate. This is literally something I just happened in the past hour. I spent about 15, 20 minutes with the CEO of this company. And yeah, very, very exciting project that these guys are doing. Very innovative.
Cool. Sounds exciting. All right, mate. We're going to jump in, guys. So if you don't know the rules, feel free to ask us questions in the comments. We'll be happy to answer those. But we're today on our DC live stream. We like to go through news highlights, Twitter highlights, adoption highlights, and if we've got time, maybe talk about the market. So without further ado, Wasim, take us away.
Alrighty, thank you very much, Manny. All right, guys. So for this week's news highlights, some pretty big news coming out of Google and Coinbase, where they have come to an agreement where Google will now take payment with cryptocurrencies and will use Coinbase's custody tools. So Google will start allowing a subset of customers to pay for cloud services with digital currencies early next year. In addition, Google will also will be exploring how to use Coinbase Prime as a service for storing and trading cryptocurrencies. So now you can see that even companies as big as Google, who we know is probably one of the largest internet companies out there, they are now looking at accepting cryptocurrency as payment. So part of this deal will allow people who are using people using Google's cloud services like the Google Drive and whatnot, and some of the enterprise stuff that they have, can actually pay for it using cryptocurrencies through the use of Coinbase. So Google has seen that the future is crypto and blockchain, and they've been talking about incorporating that. They're going to be able to allow people to use about 10 different type of cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Dogecoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and a few others. So very, very exciting news. And as we all know, Coinbase is really working hard on expanding and growing, even though we are in the bear market, which just highlights how big of an ecosystem this is going to be in the next 5 or 10 years. Next up, we have blockchain.com scores a Singapore license. So Singapore is fast becoming a hub for crypto exchanges looking to gain a foothold in Southeast Asia. Now they are very strict, so they've had like hundreds and hundreds of applications. They've already rejected like 100, but just this week they've already accepted blockchain.com. They've accepted Coinbase, as I reported on Monday, and now it actually means that these exchanges can operate legally within Singapore and surrounding areas when abiding with the Singaporean laws. So blockchain.com said it would use the license to continue to service institutional and high net worth investors, as well as the project team and operators that will be working out of Singapore. So, Singapore is moving forward. And I think you'll see that from today's news, there's quite a few countries around the world that are working hard at becoming the hub for crypto in the area, because they understand that this is the way of the future and they need to continue doing so. All right, next one. And okay, why isn't mine loading? Come on, guys. All right, so S&P Global Executive predicts a turning point for crypto and says tokenization is coming everywhere to the financial markets. And my screen, can you scroll down for me, Maddie? Because my screen has frozen. This is saying that S&P Global, which is like a metric company, they give out information and whatnot around stock exchange and whatnot. They do about $8 billion in revenue a year, and they're positioning themselves to, and they're saying that moving forward, everything is going to be tokenized, and DeFi is going to be a big part of this tokenization. Can you scroll down a little bit more for me? I did have some of this stuff highlighted. So we think tokenization, up a little bit. We think that tokenization, we think the tokenization of everything is going to happen. We predict the exact twists and turns of the pathways to that. But in the meantime, we want to make sure our organization is positioned to provide services and products that are needed to shed light on the risky industry. So they're understanding that with blockchain technology, and you're going to see today in some of the adoption highlight and how it's being used, that you can pretty much tokenize everything and be able to put it on the blockchain, whether it's stocks, whether it's property. Real world assets can now be tokenized and traded on the blockchain. Moving on to the next one, the UK passes a bill that will to see trade documents stored using blockchain. So as we all know, a lot of the world's government, as we know, a lot of the world's, or a lot of the world in general is moving towards becoming paperless for environmental reasons. So the UK government has now passed a bill that will see the adoption of using blockchain technology to store their documents. Now, why are these government organizations, why is blockchain technology great for storing documentation? It's because once the document is stored there, especially for important documents, they can no longer be altered. So no one can go in and change them and corrupt the document. So the UK government is looking at ways in which they can move all their documents onto the blockchain. And actually, the decision came, or what they said was the UK was central to establishing the international trade system in the 19th century, and we are once again leading the world to boost global trade in the 21st century. So the UK is also looking at becoming a crypto and blockchain hub in their area. And last but not least, with the adoption, with the news highlights, I should say, is the US consumer price index jumped 8.2% in September. So September CPI index was data was worse than expected. Reports signaling that the aggressive Fed rate hike is on the horizon. So over the last 12 months, all items indexed 8.2% for the seasonal adjustment. So we know that inflation is here and it's going to be here for quite a while. It's here to stay. No matter what these governments are doing, even increasing their the interest rates is still not slowing down the inflation. So we're in for a lot of bleeding still to come. Now, when this happened, the US stock markets did take a plummet, as well as precious metals and some crypto also took a hit in their pricing. So it's not looking good out there in terms of inflation at the moment, guys. This is why it's important to really be working on, looking at how you can start planning to get out and profit on the other end. And right now is the best time to be looking and researching and learning about cryptocurrencies. That's it from news highlights.
Thank you, Wasim. All right, guys, we're going to head over to the Twitter highlights now with our first tweet being from Willy Woo. He says, Bitcoin took 6 months to get to 1,000 users, 5 years to find 1 million users. Today, 13.8 years from inception, it has 300 million users, over 300 million users. 4% of the world. At current growth rates, 1 billion users will be hit in the next 3 years. That's 12% of the world. So he's talking about adoption, which is great. We saw metrics, I think, a couple of weeks ago, or I think it was last week actually, where more and more people are owning some Bitcoins. I think the other day we had also the highest number of new ETH addresses being created in one day. So it looks like people are jumping on the bandwagon. People are becoming educated and knowledgeable that in a bear market is the time to invest. So I think people now are sort of realizing, hey, it's a good time to sort of jump in. They're becoming, knowledgeable, like people like what's his name from Berkshire Hathaway, the main guy Warren Buffett, where right now he talks about this is the time where he makes his billions of dollars by investing when the seas are red and getting ready for that next bull run. Were you jumping in to say something?
Yeah, just to add on to that, it was about 13 years ago yesterday or the day before. So it's been just about 13 years since the first ever Bitcoin to US dollars transaction. And at that time, the first ever transaction was 5,000 Bitcoin. And that sold, do you know how much it sold for, Manny? Do you know what the first Bitcoin transaction ever was?
Yeah, it's for the Bitcoin pizza.
No, before that, the first time that Bitcoin was ever traded for dollars. Do you know how much it sold for?
Was it what you posted the other day, like 99 million?
Yeah, it was 5,000 Bitcoin sold for $5. And now that same transaction is worth $99 million. So this is crazy numbers. Imagine you invested $5 into something 13 years ago worth $100 million today. I don't know any other asset in the world that does that. And that is the power of cryptocurrency. It's not that.
No, well said. Alrighty, guys. Next, we've got Charlie Belalo. 60-40 portfolio of US stocks and bonds is down 21% in 2022, on pace to become the second worst year in history after 1931. So basically, we talked about the inverse yield curves over the last 6 months, how that usually creates a recession. Right now, we are technically in a recession, even though they don't like to use that word, on the news, but we can see that with all the wars and with all the currencies currently, they're all getting wrecked against the US dollar. We see an inverse relationship. I think we talked about this on Tuesday, actually, when we see interest rates go up, buying of bonds goes down. And then when interest rates decrease, the buying of bonds increases. So no one wants to buy bonds at the moment, which is obviously a big issue for most governments. We talked about as well the other day, the US government, federal government being in debt. So I'm sure they're going to try and print their way out of money. All this is telling me, really, if you really don't understand a lot of these numbers, is basically that the economy isn't yet doing very well. So whenever you see any sort of price pumps, much like what we've seen with Bitcoin over the last 24 to 48 hours, take it with a grain of salt. It doesn't mean that we have bottomed. We need to see a change in market structure. We don't yet have a higher high from the current lows that we're at. So you have to take every pump with a grain of salt. And right now, the markets haven't shown any, change in sentiment, even though we will not always just go down in a straight line. We'll have some zigging and zagging before we eventually probably go down a little bit further. Next, a tweet by DB. Stonks to raise all CPI losses after Biden discovers new formula showing inflation at 2% annually. So just talking about, so this is the type of volatility that you can expect whenever the Fed is talking. So whenever the Fed is talking about interest rates, CPI data, employment rates, and all that type of stuff, we always see a lot of volatility in the market because the US stock market and country also tends to move the market the fastest. If you are in Australia, we're in the Asian time zone, we can see some volatility, but it's never as much as the US stock market. And London also creates a little bit of volatility, but really the New York stock market or the US stock market is the market that you should be looking at if you're a trader, because the volatility is crazy. And we saw basically over the last few hours, if we just quickly jump into the charts, we'll just zoom in. We basically had Bitcoin dump from about 19,000 at 6 p.m. sort of last night, Australia time, all the way down to 18,000. So that's $1,000 drop, and then obviously pump up $2,000 to the upside for a bit of a recovery. So we can see that right now we are getting sort of a lot of liquidity because a lot of people feel like we're going to break down. This creates a lot of liquidity, pushes the price back up, and you have people that were shorting down here that create liquidity in the market. Then they have to close their shorts, which just adds fuel to the fire, and that's why we see such a rapid pump over the last 24 hours. Alrighty. Oh, oops. Yeah, let me remove that. Next, we've got Safidan. Quick guesstimate, is this a 70% increase in input prices in 18 months? If only this baker would bake with CPI instead of these supply chain affected ingredients, he would not raise his prices by more than 20%. So once again, people are just observing the prices of goods and services going up. Right now, Biden talked about a turn in the S&P in regards to, the 2% annualized interest rates, what's the word I was looking for? I've lost my train of thought. The interest rates, inflation rate only going up on year. So this guy's obviously just talking about how he could not affect his own purchases if the baker did actually price his pricing differently. All right, we have our last tweet right here from, oh no, I already had that one. That was it for the tweets. I think I covered all the tweets. We've had repeating tweets. So I'm going to bring Wasim back in for the adoption highlights.
All righty. Thank you very much, Maddie. I think you've missed one. There's one before that, which is that you can buy the one with the perfume with Dogecoin, the Elon Musk one. Did you miss that, Lee?
No, I think I thought I missed one, but I couldn't find what I'd missed. Maybe I talked about the CPI. No, I didn't miss one. I did.
No, you missed my one. It's one of my articles.
Oh, one of your articles. Okay, we can go back to this one. Is that what you're talking? Hold on. Here we go. The CPI data.
No, Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. I can't see an Elon Musk one.
Okay. All right.
That's okay. We'll move on to the adoption highlights.
To Rio de Janeiro. So Brazil's Rio de Janeiro will accept crypto payments for property tax. So the city is now allowing people. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I'll bring it back.
All right, cool. So the city of Rio de Janeiro is now seeking crypto firms to operate its tax property seizing 2023. So they put out a decree on October 11th saying that they're going to allow taxpayers to pay their taxes via crypto. So Rio de Janeiro, the mayor of Rio de Janeiro said, Rio de Janeiro is a global city, and therefore we are following technology and economic advances in the universe of digital financial assets. We have a look to the future, and we want to become the country's capital of innovation and technology. Our city is the first in Brazil to offer taxpayers this type of payment. So as I've said to you guys in the past, and I'll say it again, Brazil is one of the largest adopters in the world. Like there's always news coming out of Brazil and Mexico and Latin America around how fast they're adopting it. And now Rio de Janeiro, which is the largest city in Brazil, is going to allow its people to pay for their taxes using cryptocurrencies. They also said that in a recent report by the federal government that it is now over 12,053 unique organizations who have declared that they have crypto onto their balance sheet, which is up by about 6.1% from the previous month. This is how fast crypto is growing over in Brazil. Moving on to, you can now buy perfumes with Dogecoins. Okay, so Elon Musk is at it again. So he's been a big time supporter of Dogecoins. He's used he's got a company called Boring, which has already launched a couple of things and it's called the Boring Company, which is has sold other things, which I'll get into in a minute. But now they've already sold $1 million worth of this perfume, and this perfume is actually called burnt hair. It's like leaning over a candle over a dinner table, burning your hair. So he's at it again with his unique form of humor. It's a bit of a gimmick, but at $100 a pop, they've already sold 1,000 of these or 10,000 of these, making him $1 million in 24 hours. It's not the first time they've done it. He's also launched another product called Not a Flamethrower, which he also sold for 20,000 Dogecoins previously. So Dogecoin, as you guys know, is a meme coin. Elon Musk was a fan of it, which means he pumped it quite a bit. And now a lot of people have invested in it. So now they're looking at making more and more utilities of it. But a lot of organizations are now starting to use Dogecoin as a form of payment because it's very similar to Bitcoin in the sense that it's a fork of Bitcoin. However, it's got unlimited supply and it's got very cheap very cheap transaction fees. So yes, Elon Musk is a troll, giving Dogecoin utility again. That's right. Thank you, Uento. All right. Now, next one is the country of Dominica has now selected Tron to issue the country's official coin. So they're launching the Dominica coin, and they've agreed with the Tron, so Justin Sun's blockchain and Tron, to use the Tron blockchain to be able to create this coin. So they said this is a historic step for Dominica as it drives to enhance economic growth by embracing digital innovation and appointing Tron protocol as its designated national blockchain infrastructure. So it's a Caribbean nation that's looking at growing and allowing more ways for people to come in. Justin Sun posted the official document saying that this gives statutory status as an authorized digital currency and means an exchange. So any token on the Tron network, he claims, can now be used as a means of exchange in the can be now used as an exchange in means of exchange in Dominica. All right. This is a really interesting one. I actually found that this is such a great article, such a cool innovation and adoption of blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies. So the Polygon network or the Polygon blockchain will power the first ever blockchain-based police complaint portal in India. So for those of you that don't know, India has always had a bit of a problem with police corruption and people not being able to file in the first information report, and sometimes the police not wanting to take it, especially around rape victims. So this city, what was the name of the city? I forget the name of the city. Oh man, where did it go? Oh yeah, I don't even know how to say that. Firozabad is now the first city that's going to launch a blockchain-based police complaint portal. So what that means is anybody can now, anybody in the city can get onto this, filing a complaint, which can no longer be altered. Remember I said earlier today that one of the reasons why the UK government, a lot of companies or a lot of organizations are looking at using blockchain for storing data is because once it's there, it can no longer be audited, becomes immutable, and therefore now when someone puts in a complaint, it becomes publicly known. So this is a problem that they've had over in Firozabad, where sometimes the police don't take the reports because of corruption and whatnot. Now they can actually get on, people can get on, file a complaint, and it has to be dealt with. So the police complaints officer, Atta Paresh, has come out and said, this is very close to my heart. We grow up hearing about so many such cases where, due to some corruption in the local police department, victims, mostly rape, are not able to register a complaint. So now the fact that they can get on, file a complaint, makes it immutable, makes it transparent, makes it public, allows more justice to be done in the city. And even though India has been anti-crypto, they're still adopting a lot of blockchain technology. And they said that if this system works in this city, then they'll look at expanding it at other places in India, in other states and cities around India. All right, and last but not least, CoinSquare becomes the first Canadian crypto exchange to receive IIROC registration. So Canada has been IIROC stands for the Investment Industry Regulatory Organization of Canada, and it's approved CoinSquare to become to legally operate in Canada, and which means that they have the highest standard when it comes to regulation. So clients now have the added comfort and security knowing that CoinSquare is operating at the highest level of dealer compliance and oversight under the existing regulatory system. Under this license, it means that the exchange will be required to report financial standings, maintain adequate capital for liability, as well as make it a safer environment for people to operate in. Canada has been different. It's taken a different approach than the United States in sense that they must register first to apply for the IIROC before they can operate, and they've recently banned certain exchanges like Qcoin and whatnot. So this is great news for people in Canada, which means now they have a very high level and very high standard of exchange that they can operate in. That's it from the adoption highlight.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Wasim. Well, guys, that is it for another Decrypting Crypto. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications for all our videos each and every single week. And feel free, if you would like to discuss to a trained professional in the crypto sphere, in the crypto metaverse, feel free to book in a session at breakoutnow.co/breakout session with one of our lovely coaches, and we'd be happy to discuss your investment opportunities in the crypto market in the future.
Peace out. Have a great weekend, guys, and see you next week.